Hi, this is Susan Proper with, jeez, okay. I'm thinking of Tornatore. Yeah. Okay, here we go. Hi, this is Susan Proper with Thrive Beyond Burnout. Today I have a guest who is a self-proclaimed brain geek and self-love expert, Dr. Jane Tornatore. Hi, Jane, welcome.
Thank you very much for having me. Nice job on my name.
Oh, thank you. It took some practice, didn't it? So Jane and I were talking before we just came to be with you today, and we talked a lot about self-love and how self-love is kind of getting a bad rap these days. How it's, with all this social media influence and on Instagram and Facebook and all the other platforms out there, self-love is being kind of misrepresented, isn't it?
Yeah, it seems to be associated with perfection and beauty and a beautiful house and youth.
Yeah.
And, that's great, but it's not the real self-love that I like to delve into.
So you are a self-love expert. So talk a little bit about that. What is a self-love expert?
It is somebody called me that once and I went, oh, that is so perfect. I'm taking that on. Because my whole life, I wouldn't say my whole life, probably since my early 20s, and I'm almost 60 now, I have been trying to figure out how to love myself because I grew up with no self-confidence. I couldn't figure out why people liked me. I had great friends, but I couldn't figure out why they liked me. I was just super happy that they did. And I got my self-esteem because they were so cool. But I didn't have it my own self. So, but enough people said to me, I wish you could see you as I see you. And I heard that enough. I thought, well, okay, so let's go for that then. So I just started a study of how do I learn to love myself when it was deep down, but most of me did not feel lovable. And so I did my own study, and then I thought, I'm going to become a therapist and help other people. So of course I learned academically, I learned with self-help books, I've taken a gazillion classes, I've done so much work with myself, I've worked with therapists, with teachers, with healers, everything to help me learn to love myself as I am versus how I, quote, should be to be lovable. That's the danger. I'm lovable when, I'm lovable if, I'm lovable when these circumstances occur, which make me lovable, which is never self-love. It's conditional love.
Right.
Most of us are going for conditional love, and it's always going to be conditional.
Okay. So is this something that is conditional love, something that is formed within us like from childhood, or how do we get like that?
Oh yeah, that's a great question, Susan. So our brain, from about the ages of 0 to 2, it runs in delta waves, which are basically, we aren't thinking, we aren't analyzing, we aren't assessing. We're just there, little kids, just experiencing the world. There's nothing in our brain that questions it. It just comes into, this is how the world is. We just react to the world without any thought. Then about from 2 to 7, our brain is mostly in theta waves, which are the same brain waves our brain are in when we're in hypnosis. So we just take in things as the truth. The part of our brain that goes, wait a minute, that doesn't make sense. What's that? No, that's not right. That part isn't on board yet. That comes later, starting around the age of 7. Now, this is variable, but those are the basic age ranges. So our core beliefs, they've said for decades that basically who we are is formed by the age of 7. That's why, because we are taking in the world what people say, what people do, what's happening. And our world is formed by those experiences without questioning whether they make sense or not.
Wow.
Yeah. So
Well,
that's why we sometimes have these beliefs which stick so long, and we know, like I knew, well, people think I'm awesome. Why do I continue to insist I'm not? It's because before the age of 7, I got those messages. And I don't know about you, but when I was a girl, it was, people said all the time, bad girl, bad boy, good girl, good boy. They didn't say, hey, that behavior doesn't work. Stop it. I love you. I don't love the behavior. It was like bad girl.
Yeah.
So I heard that, and my pre-7-year-old self went, got it. I'm bad.
Right. Right.
And it wasn't until I was in my, I think, middle 30s, maybe. I was in grad school, and a famous child psychologist was on the stage, and I was in there in the audience listening to what she said. And she said, kids value is not related to their behaviors. And I'm like, I know she's the expert and I'm just a grad student, but she's wrong. If I do something bad, I'm bad. It's hardly ever, if I do something good, I'm good. That's very fleeting. It's always, I did something bad, so I am bad. But still, I knew enough to know she's the expert. I'm learning. So maybe let's ponder this a bit, Jane. And it finally hit me. It's like, oh, yeah, we do stuff and the behaviors are good or bad. And patterns certainly happen, but they don't reflect our internal essence of value.
Of value, right.
Yeah. So with that line, with my previous line of thinking, I had to be perfect in order to be good, to be valuable. And nobody can be perfect. Nobody. So I was constantly failing and constantly saying to myself, well, I'm not, I don't know why they think I am, because I'm constantly failing.
Oh, no. Okay. So, well, now this is really interesting, because to me, this is almost like, well, first of all, it's amazing to me that this happens when you're so young, because it's like, damn it. Why does this happen when we're so young? This is supposed to, this is when you need to be protected and nurtured. And this is when good things should be happening to you. Who the heck set it up that way? Right? Why
I know.
why does that happen? Who set it up that way?
I totally hear you, Susan.
And then the other thing is, okay, if that's the way it is, and we have no choice, and that's when these things affect us, and unfortunately we come out of it with these programmed thoughts,
program beliefs,
which I would say for the majority of kids are going to be skewed in the negativity, right?
Yeah.
Then we are all walking around trying to be, by the time we're 18, 19 years old, heading off to college and then into our corporate life or business life or whatever life we're heading into, we're all trying to be little perfectionists, right?
Not everybody takes it to perfectionism. That's what I did. And I think that's where our personality comes in. Like, some people aren't perfectionists, but they take responsibility on a different way. Like, my belief was that if I'm perfect, then I will be good. Some people believe if they're nice, they will be good. Or if they're accommodating, they will be good. Or if I insist that my way is right, I will be good. If everybody around me thinks that I'm the right one, I'm the expert, then so each of our personalities is, works with our experiences, the nature and nurture kind of thing, to form how we walk in the world. Mine was perfectionism.
Okay.
That's the one I chose. Yay!
I think I did too.
They do?
Yeah, I think so. So it's your path is based on the message that you received, and that is how you choose whether or not you're going to be perfect, you're going to be nice, you're going to be blah, 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 whatever you're going to be.
It's whatever is available to us in our little, because we don't even have fully formed brains.
Right.
So mostly what kids do, like in my family, it wasn't a happy family. There was a lot of violence. There was a lot of it just was not a happy place. And so because that's too out of control for little kids to think their parents aren't there to keep them safe. That's too much. Little kids depend on their kid. They need their parents to keep them safe and alive.
Sure.
So what we do is we fit ourselves into the environment to stay safe and alive.
Right.
And in my case, because it was I wasn't able to think, gosh, my parents aren't the healthiest people on the block. Maybe I should, move into my neighbor's house. No, I didn't, I couldn't, my brain didn't go there.
Yeah.
So my brain, and most little kids go, okay, so what is it about me that's the problem here? Because if I'm the problem, then I can fix it.
Yeah.
So if it's up to me, I stand a chance of changing it.
Right.
So that's why this is my theory. I think that's why we take it on, because it's our best chance to feel safe in the world with our limited brain capacity. Mm-hmm. Now, the beautiful news is we didn't come out of the womb going, I got to take responsibility for the world and my family, and it's all on me. We come in as little like, hi, I'm here in the world. So these beliefs are programmed in, we can reprogram them. It's a lot of work because by the time we're adults, they're mostly unconscious. Mm-hmm. But if we bring them up to the conscious level and go, hey, wait a minute, that's a stupid rule. I think I'm going to try to work somewhat like I did with my self-esteem. I'm like, this doesn't work for me. This doesn't make sense. Mm-hmm. I'm going to try to learn something new. Mm-hmm. And it takes practice and effort, but it's totally doable because our brain's programmable.
Right. So here we're getting into mindset, right? This is where we're getting into, I think I read something on either your social media or on your website or something about what was it? About taking your old limiting beliefs.
Yeah.
Are like a rusty gate.
Yes.
Okay. So let's talk about that.
Oh, I love this analogy. It came to me one day and I went, oh my God, that's so brilliant. And it's do you remember the movie Blazing Saddles?
Yes.
I rewatched it lately because I thought, oh, this is where the seed of this came from. In Blazing Saddles, there's the bad guys are chasing the good guys. And the good guys are like, how do we stop the bad guys? And so the one guy goes, I know. They built a toll gate that took nickels in the middle of the desert. Remember that scene? In the middle of the desert. And they're like, oh, we don't have any nickels. And they had to send somebody back to get nickels. A lot of them, because there are a lot of it, right? They could have just ridden around
the gate.
Right? Exactly. So the image I came up with is, imagine you're in this beautiful field with flowers and grasses, and it's just beautiful. It's this big open field. And you come into this gate and you're like, I got to get through this gate. But it's rusted shut and you're stuck and you're trying to get through it, but you got it because this is the gate you got to get through. This is like our beliefs. This is the only way there is to be. You've got this whole field, but your vision is limited by your belief. Mm-hmm. You have to do this way. You have to think this way. You have to be this way. Mm-hmm. And it's just a belief. There's so many other options, mm-hmm. but our beliefs put blinders on us.
Right.
So that's what beliefs are like. They're just gates in the middle of an empty field or a toll booth with, cowboys trying to get through with nickels.
Right. Cowboys with nickels.
Right.
The thing is, though, it's really hard sometimes for people to, it sounds so easy with mindset, right? Oh, yeah, well, I just have to visualize, I just have to think about it, and I just mm-hmm. have to wish it or dream it or whatever. But it really is more than that because it's action. Yes. It's really taking action when you want to change your mindset.
Yes. One of the books I read, which changed my idea about mindset, because it used to really piss me off, frankly. One of the first self-help books I read was Wayne Dyer. Wayne Dyer's, I forget which book, but it's a Wayne Dyer book.
Yeah.
And right in the beginning, and I think I shared this experience in my book. I was reading this book and he basically said, your life is your thoughts. What you think is your life. And I thought, I am screwed because my thoughts are negative. And I literally well, forget it. I'm screwed. And I put the book away and I didn't pick it up again. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So I think it's so easy to make it black and white. And many people do, of like, say the mantras and it'll all be good. And if it isn't good, then it's your mindset and you have to fix your mind. It's all you.
Yeah.
And what I found is, and the book I read was Train Your Brain by Dana Wilde. I love her. She does mindset in a way which feels real to me versus just do this and it'll be fine. Is when we say, like, so I decided, okay, everybody's doing mantras. I'm going to do mantras. And I was in grad school. And my mantra was, I was in grad school, so I was poor, right? I had no time and I was poor. And I did the mantra, I'm fabulously wealthy.
And
my
were you?
whole psyche went, you are such a liar. And I felt awful because I was lying to myself.
Yeah.
So it was not helping me. It actually was making me, it was ingraining my beliefs. It was making the gate more rusty. But if you modify the mantras for what is like stretches you a little bit, but doesn't bring in the you are such a liar kind of inhibitor, like I would like to be wealthy someday. Now I can say that and I'm like, yeah, you know, that's true. It makes me feel lighter. If I say I'm fabulously wealthy, I immediately get this crushing feeling of liar. And plus it'll never happen. Who do you think you, so it brings up all my resistance to that form of self-love.
Right. Okay.
So self-love is not an easy journey. Real self-love is, if it's loving the parts of ourselves we don't find lovable. Self-love isn't like when I'm perfect, when I fix all these things, I will be lovable. Self-love is, wow, look at that, I'm racist. Look at that, I'm genderist. Look at that, I'm whatever we have in our, oh, look, I'm overweight, or oh, I'm not in good enough shape, or blah, 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 or I wasted time. Whatever we don't like about ourselves is not lovable, and we try to shut it off. And Susan, I don't know about you, but I've never known anybody who hated themselves into self-love. I mean, like,
yeah, I don't even know how you would do that.
Exactly. But that's what we try to do, especially perfectionists. Can't believe I screwed that up. What is wrong with me? That doesn't make me feel good.
No, but I do it all the time.
Exactly. Yes, we do. And it doesn't help. It's a rusty gate. Like, who made up the rule that we beat ourselves up into self-love? No one. I mean, somebody did, because it's a rule we all follow, or many of us follow. Yeah. But it's made up. It's a rusty gate. So we love the part, or at least in the beginning, oh, there you are. There's the part I don't like about myself. Oh, it really hurts to have this part about me. Yeah. I wish I weren't that way. Yeah. When I say, I wish I were not that way, then I feel compassion. Then I have room for like, well, why do I feel that way? Well, how do I want to feel? I don't want to be prejudiced, racist, whatever is, perfectionist even. I don't want to be that way. Right. So what are my other how do I walk around this gate into the field? Right. But that comes with self-compassion versus the judgment you and I learned to try to make ourselves better.
And it comes with self-study and a lot of introspection too, because a lot of people are not willing to look in the mirror, right?
Yeah, because it hurts.
Yeah.
Right?
It does.
Because we see all the stuff that we don't like.
Yeah. Yeah. You're
it's a courageous act to do self-love. It's an absolutely courageous act.
Yeah. You're absolutely right about that.
Yeah.
Yeah. You also, I looked at your Instagram, and I want to mention your Instagram. You have Instagram, which is Dr. Jane Tornatore.
Yes.
Yes. And you have Facebook, which is Everyday Love, and your website is everydaylove.me.
Correct.
Correct. Okay. So I was looking at your Instagram, and you had a post there about simple love for overachievers and overgivers.
Yes.
So of course that was like ding, 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 ding.
I
know. For me, because, that just totally resonated. That's like the story of my life.
Yeah.
And it has taken me probably 3 years of a lot of I don't know, soul searching and looking in the mirror and,
Mhm.
all of that to learn to like myself
Yes.
and to be a little bit more compassionate with myself. Um,
Awesome.
and I still have days where I'm, like saying, "Oh shit, Susan, you're,"
Uh-huh.
but
Me
but
too.
but I'm a whole lot better than I was, like
Yes.
5 or 6 years ago, right? But it's a process. But
Mhm.
I like that. I love your Instagram feed. I love your
Thank
Instagram
you.
feed. I really do because I find it inspiring for people like me who struggle with that self love,
Yeah.
part of themselves. I think it's really something that uh, I don't know. I bet you there's a lot of people that struggle with self-love and probably don't
Yep.
even realize it because um we grow up, and I think maybe especially women, and my clients are women, so I don't know so much about guys, but I think women especially because we compare ourselves to other women in magazines, on
Mhm.
social media, and the television and all this stuff,
Yep.
that we are always never good enough.
Yes.
We're never like that one, or we're never smart enough, we're never beautiful enough,
Mhm.
we're never enough. And so
Never
when
enough.
yeah, never. And when I was just scrolling through your Instagram feed, I was like, wow, this feed is very helpful for people who feel that
Oh,
way. Yeah, I really thought so. It was
awesome. Thank you.
yeah, I really felt that way. Um, so what can you recommend for people that are having these kinds of feelings and feel overwhelmed with these kinds of feelings?
Oh, yeah. So that course you're mentioning, Simple Self-Love for Overdoers, Overachievers, and Overgivers. I'm like, that's a lot of people.
Yeah.
Um, I just finished running the course, and this is one of the tools I taught in there.
Mm.
And one of the women, she's 58. She's like, I'm 58, and I just figured out how feelings work. And I'm like, yay! It's never too late. So this model I came up with one day. I'll tell you the story of how I developed it first. I um I love massages. Like
Oh,
I love massages. And it wasn't something that I quote let myself have because I didn't deserve them unless I did something like it was a waste of money, right?
okay.
That was my
Okay.
belief. That was my rusty gate. But
Okay.
I love them.
Hmm.
So a friend of mine was wanting to earn some extra money. So she was offering half price massage packages,
Okay.
like 3 massages for half price. And I went, oh, that's awesome. I can help her. I can help me. I save money and I get massages.
Hmm.
Yay.
Yeah.
So I got a massage and it was fine. And then I forgot about it. And it was a 6 months package. And one day I was sitting in my living room and I went,
Oh.
hey, I wonder when that package is up. So I texted her and she said, oh, it's up next week.
Oh.
Right. So I went on the website, no appointments I could make. So I, as you might imagine, being a perfectionist, I started beating myself up.
Mm.
And I was just like, and I was walking around going, and my thoughts were like, well, she should have let me know the 6 months was almost up. I'm like,
Mm.
no, it's not her job to let me know. It's not her fault. Well, Jane, you should have kept tracking. You should have known. I'm like, no. So I was just alternating between trying to feed, yeah, it's okay that I feel this way. And it's like, no, stop feeling this way. Stop. I realized, and then walked into my kitchen and went, I'm mad and I don't want to feel it.
Mm.
Because in my family, anger was not a good thing.
Oh.
Didn't be angry. You didn't. So I thought, oh, I'm just angry that I lost the money and I don't want to feel it. So I went to my couch, sat down, and just allowed myself to be angry at what happened. Not blaming her, not blaming me, just be angry because I lost the money and I lost the massages.
Mm.
And after about 5 minutes, it was past and I got up. And the fun part of the story is half an hour later, she texted and said, I'm happy to extend that deadline if you want me to. And I went,
Oh.
oh, yes. And I went online right away and booked the massages. But what I realized from that is we as human beings do three things with feelings. We, excuse me, I've got allergies. We've got the pollen out here in Seattle. We feed them. She should have let me know. I should have known. So we feed them to make them stronger, or we try to fix them. No, stop thinking about it. It's no problem. Don't make a big deal out of it. Let it go. Or the most effective way, we feel them. We physically feel the sensation of the emotions in our body. Our bodies process when we react to something, either an event or a thought. Our body's neurochemical response is done, research says anywhere from I've read anywhere from 30 seconds to 2 minutes. It's done. We have the response, our body goes, great, here are the chemicals, and then they do their thing, and then they're done. So if it lasts longer than 2 minutes, we're keeping it around by trying to fix it or feed it. So most of us, like I do, bounce back and forth, and every once in a while I feel, and I'm like, no, stop it. It's not, it feels awful. Oh, it's so uncomfortable. I don't want to feel it. Or, yeah, and this is what everybody did wrong, including me. So in all honesty, because I don't want perfectionists to go out there and go, oh my God, I can't do 2 minutes. What is wrong with me? I've never gotten faster than 5 minutes because I've learned to try to fix it or feed it a lot.
Yeah.
But I've gotten it down. If I can get some down to a couple hours that I used to spend days trying to fix or feed, that's awesome. So what we know is feelings are always, always, always changing. Like no feeling, I say constantly to my therapy clients and my group clients, no feeling in the history of the world has ever lasted forever. But when we're trying to avoid it, we think it does. And it does if we continue to feed it.
I was just going to say, if you feed the feeling, that's when it gets shitty, right?
Yeah, it lasts as long as we keep feeding it or trying to repress it.
Okay.
Yeah. But if we just literally feel the physical sensations of the emotion in our body, it just passes once our neurochemical process is done with it. Then then you know how little babies or little kids, like underneath 2, they go from high to low to at peace. They just bounce.
Yeah.
You look at them and go, how do you do that? That's how we're naturally supposed to work.
Right.
They're just doing what little bodies are doing. We're the ones who add these different layers.
Right. Okay.
So the emotions feel bigger and they last longer.
Wow.
So when emotions feel overwhelming, I just sit and it hurts. It's not easy because it's super uncomfortable. But I just feel them and go, no feeling in the history of the world have ever lasted forever, Jane. Remember, no feeling in the history of the world. And I just keep saying that to myself and it passes.
Wow. Well, I have to think about trying that one.
Yeah, it's a useful practice to try. It's pretty intense.
Yeah.
It's pretty
Sounds
intense.
Like it. Yeah. Well,
It's easier.
You hear that cliche or that meme or whatever, feel the feels, or,
Yeah.
But
nobody tells you how.
It sounds warm and fuzzy, but it doesn't sound like what you're talking about.
No.
No.
I'm talking about real. Yeah. And you're actually just feeling if you have no thoughts. You're just experiencing the physical sensations.
Yeah.
Then this is what feelings are. This is how it works. I just physically feel it. When as soon as I hear thoughts, I'm like, oh, look, you're trying to escape it. Oh, yeah. Oh, and then I have compassion. Like, of course, this is really hard. This is a hard feeling. What's really interesting is I saw Brene Brown has a special on Netflix, and she said joy, and I totally agree. Joy is a super intense feeling, and most of us can't stay there either. The example she gave is, now how many of you people are parents? And like half the audience raised their hand, maybe 3/4. She said, how many of you are looking at your kids when they're sleeping? They're this little angels, they're just sleeping. And you're thinking how much love you're feeling for them, like how much love. And then she said 15 seconds later, you're thinking, what happens if they die in a car crash? What happens if they get cancer? What happens if our brain goes to worry?
Right.
Because it's so hard to stay in that absolute joy and love. It's
Yeah.
uncomfortable
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
we're not used to it.
Yeah. Well, I guess truly feeling just about any emotion the way you're just describing it would be extremely intense.
It can
Because,
be.
you know, we say we feel things, but I think the way you're talking about feeling things, I don't think anybody feels things quite that way. I don't think anybody's really, well, I shouldn't say anybody. I think most people don't really experience that kind of feeling.
Right. And do you want to know why?
Why?
Because excellent question. Because we're taught when we're very young, many of us, not everybody, but many of us were taught to not pay attention to our body. Because think of the messages many kids get. And it makes sense because parents are just trying to figure out how to live and keep everybody, together and whole and safe. So we hear things like, I don't care if you're tired, it's bedtime.
Yes, I've heard
I
that.
don't care if you're tired, it's time to get up for school.
Yeah.
I know you're hungry, but it's not dinner time yet. Eat, it's dinner time, you have to eat.
Yes.
So we learn because it helps our parents, and no fault of the parents, but we learn to pay attention to what we're told in our head, but not what's happening in our body. Because our job is to fit in, so we're going to be safe and cared for and loved and kept in the family. So we're like, got it. I'm not going to listen to my body because it's clearly lying because it's not going with what the adults here are doing.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll just not pay attention. So we learn this natural segregation between our head and our body. So most of our life is lived in our head, and it's a lot of made up stories. Our body will tell us how we're really responding to things once we cue in and start to build the neural pathways to start paying attention again. Because many of my clients I say, well, what are you feeling right now? And they said, I'm mad. Okay, so what are you feeling in your body when you're mad? And they go, I don't know, I'm mad. They haven't developed the search pattern, or it was cut off.
Yeah.
To see how their body is responding. And our body always responds.
Right.
We just have learned how not to pay attention. So I think you're absolutely right. Many of us do not feel. The feelings are there.
Yeah.
We just have not learned to give credence to them.
Right. So an example of this, and this is something that I just experienced not more than an hour ago or 2 hours ago today. I was having difficulties with my website.
Mm-hmm.
And I was very angry, very upset because I'm no website person, right? And I was very frustrated, and I had to reach out to somebody, God bless them, who could help me. But
Awesome.
I was so angry and frustrated that I had come to tears almost because I had been working for hours and I still couldn't figure this out. And I could feel the anger and the frustration. And not only, did I know that I was angry and frustrated, I could feel my heart pounding. I could feel, like my skin almost getting flushed.
Yeah.
And so that's almost like a perfect example of what you're talking about. I could feel that emotion in my body. And it was, and I actually did end up crying because I was so perturbed about what was happening. I was just like, it was beyond my control and I didn't know what to do. And I was just, So yeah.
And your crying was a perfect response because the book I was talking about, the Burnout book by Emily and Amelia Nagoski, one of the things they talk about is we don't complete the stress cycle. We have these feelings and we try to soothe ourselves with our words and our thoughts, but our body's still holding the tension of the emotions because we haven't let it out. So crying is a beautiful way to complete that stress cycle. It's a release. It helps your body naturally process the response. So crying was perfect. So your body didn't have to hold on to the tension.
Ah, well, that's
You
good
saw,
because
yeah,
I always feel like crying is like a weakness almost, right? Because
because we're taught that.
yes.
That's a rusty gate, Susan.
Yeah, that is a rusty gate, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, because it's part of our makeup. Why would it be bad?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. You got it.
But we're taught that it is.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. Interesting. Oh gosh. Okay. So there's one other thing that I wanted to ask you. Actually, you asked me to ask you this question. So
Yes, this
I
is my favorite.
I find this very interesting, and I can't wait to hear the answer. So, if you were the ruler of the world, what words would you like to ban?
Oh, yes. I will tell anybody who will sit still long enough for me to mention this because it's so important in my mind. If I were ruler of the world, I would ban the words should, must, have to, need, and for Midwesterners, gotta.
Gotta.
And Australians, I did a podcast in Australia and she said gotta. They say gotta. So
Mhm.
Midwesterners and Australians, gotta. And here's why. These words automatically create stress and they automatically make us feel bad.
Mm.
So let's do an experiment because I'm always a firm believer when we experience it, we get it. If we just talk about it, we're like, yeah, whatever, but we don't get it. So what's something and you say the word need a lot. What's something you need to do?
I do say the word need a lot. Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
I wasn't aware. Uh, what was the question again? I'm sorry.
What's something you need to do? What's something on your list that you need to do, you should do, you have to do?
Mm. I need to empty the dishwasher.
Great. Close your eyes once you said that.
Mhm.
And what do you feel in your body?
My hand is like tapping on the desk right now.
Great. Nice noticing. So now say, it's a good idea to unload the dishwasher.
It's a good idea to unload the dishwasher.
And what do you feel in your body?
Well, my hand slowed down and I took
Yeah.
a nice deep breath.
Yeah. Beautiful noticing. So what this does is when we say the word should, must, have to, need, we are doing two things. We're saying we're giving ourselves no choice, and our ego hates not having a choice. Our ego is like a 2-year-old going, don't tell me what I have to do. So it immediately creates resistance. And at the same time, for us perfectionists, it is, well, if you need to do it, the word should is the most powerful one for this. If you should do it and you haven't done it yet, you've already failed. So even when you finally do it, you should have done it a long time ago. So you get no bonus good feeling points when you finally did it.
Mm.
It was like, well, it's about time. It's got that kind of energy to it.
Mm.
But when we say, is it a good idea or it'd be helpful? I mean, this stuff is in our mind for a reason. I mean, it's on our list for a reason because it is a good idea or it would be helpful.
Mm-hmm.
But when we say that, we not only give our bodies less stress because we're not making this demand, we're saying, this is actually a good idea. It's like pulling us towards something versus pushing us down. It's that kind of feeling.
Mm.
So, and also the second part of it is, if you say to yourself, it's a good idea or it'd be helpful to, you're seeding your subconscious to say, hey, it is a good idea. So you're kind of giving directions to your unconscious to say, well, if it's a good idea, when would be a good time to do it? Oh, maybe I'll do it after lunch, or I got a break right after this. I'll do it. So we direct our unconscious to help us find out how to get it done.
Mm.
So it works on multiple levels. And if we could get rid of those words, our stress would be greatly reduced. Because I recently saw a study that said we have 6,200 thoughts a day. I've also seen 50 to 70 to 90,000 thoughts a day. So I don't know how many thoughts we have a day. In any case, we've got a lot.
Yeah.
So if we can reduce our stress with just our thoughts, with just those words, we're automatically loving ourselves more and reducing our stress.
Right. Okay. So, does procrastination play a role in any of all this, or is that just part of your childhood
I think
thing?
I could be wrong. I think a lot of procrastinate. I've got a theory and I've got something I read. My theory is that procrastination happens because two things. One, the thought of doing it feels bad. So why would we do it? Oh, I got to do that. And it feels bad. So never in the history of humanity do we say, oh, that feels bad. Yeah, let's do that.
Mm.
Well, there are people who like to go towards fear, so that might motivate them. But for most of us, we're like, I'm just going to avoid that because I don't want to feel bad. So why do it? So we procrastinate. For some of us perfectionists, I know I'm not going to do it perfectly. So once again, it feels bad to do it because it's not perfect. So I'll just avoid it.
Right.
I also read one time that people who are highly intelligent tend to procrastinate because they can see all the possible ramifications of different choices. So it's like, if I do this, then this might happen, and this might happen, and this might, or if I do this, this might happen, and it gets kind of overwhelming. So they don't want to even make the decisions or do that because they can see too many possible consequences.
Right. Okay.
Do you have a theory about why we procrastinate?
I think my tendency is to think that it's because of not wanting to make the decision because there's too much overwhelm with possibility. Yeah.
Yeah, that's you can see all the potentials
Yeah.
that would happen with that decision.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. The curse of the ability to see consequences.
Yeah.
I will say one more thing about procrastination. For people with ADHD, I am one of them. Our brain does not create a chemical, and I don't remember which one it is, to focus without urgency. Like when I would sit down to study, I would immediately fall asleep because my brain was in delta waves all the time. It was delta waves, besides being 0 to 2, our brains are in delta waves when we're sleeping. So literally my brain was falling asleep. So if I sat down without a lot of stimulation, I would fall asleep. And to write and to focus was so hard because I didn't have the natural chemicals to enable that. Some people, they say it's time to sit down and focus, and they can do it because they've got the neurochemicals to do it. People with ADHD, their brain doesn't. Urgency will release those chemicals into the brain, which is why in school, all my homework was done with all-nighters.
Wow.
Because that's the only time I could actually sit down to focus. Otherwise, I'd just fall asleep. Which is not a super helpful way to get homework done. I'm just saying.
Oh my gosh. Wow. Oh my God, this has been such a great conversation. I need to tell the listeners that
You don't need to.
Well, God, I am going to be so aware of that word now. It's unbelievable.
Awesome.
Okay. Need.
This is what we're taught, Susan. This is another one of those things we're taught. We hear it all the time. I would always say something to my sister when she'd say, Mommy needs you to do that. I'm like, tell them it would be helpful.
Right. Okay. Okay. Well, it would be helpful right now if I I want to let the listeners know right now that you have a free muscle relaxation audio gift.
Yes.
And a free book PDF.
Yes. Thank you for mentioning that. If people go to everydaylove.me, they can sign up and get a free, I love it. When I first started meditating, because I have ADHD, of course, it was difficult for my brain to focus. And people would say, okay, now relax your muscles. And I would feel all the tension that was still in my muscles because I'm a perfectionist. Like, oh no, I still have tension. So I would feel bad. So I would not relax. But then one day I was listening to something and they did the progressive muscle tension and relaxation.
Yes.
You know that, of course.
Yeah, of course I do.
And I was like, this works really well. I'm actually relaxed. So I created an audio for people who try to relax and just can't. It's a 7-minute audio leading them through the muscle tension and relaxation. So their body actually, and therefore their mind, feels more relaxed by the end of it.
Perfect.
And when they sign up, I forget if it's right away or a couple days later, I send a free PDF of my book, Everything's Perfect, Just Not Me, a roadmap to self-acceptance.
That's wonderful. That I know I have that PDF. I have not read it yet, but I will read it, and
Awesome.
I will.
But just remember, Susan, you don't have to.
I will, because I want to. Not because I need to, but because I want to.
Right. And there's so much more power. It's like we tap into our power when we really do, when we say, because I want to. It's got that forward kind of propelling energy of like, yes, it's energizing versus deflating, which the should, must, have to, need.
Yeah, need is like an obligation, isn't it?
Yes. Yeah. And who likes to live under obligation?
Not anybody.
I don't. It feels awful.
Well, I will put the link for your muscle relaxation audio and for the book PDF. Well,
awesome. Thank you.
In the podcast notes. Is there anything else that you want to tell the listeners today? This has just been so informative and so entertaining. I just had a great time. But is there anything?
Me too.
Anything else that you want to?
That's it. I love the conversation we had, and I'm good with that. It's okay. I'm delighted.
Okay. Well, I've been delighted too, and I learned a lot, and I am sure that we will talk again. And I just had a great time. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much,
appreciate
Susan.
our conversation today.